With just less than a week before the World Cup, I will be doing my final World Cup predictions. Let's get started with Group A. Here are all the results. And to make this video not an hour long, I won't be going into every single game in detail. I will just be going into overall standings, but showing some upsets and games that are highly talked about in their score. Starting here with the opening game of the World Cup, Mexico versus South Africa. The same exact game from the 2010 World Cup, just reversed. I'm going to predict 2-1 Mexico with their home field advantage and them being an overall better structured team. But then here, I predict Czech Republic going first. As most people were thinking Denmark were going to make it, but no, Czechia made it both times through penalties and are looking to be a decent side for this group, as anything could happen in this group. Most people choose Mexico, but I choose Czechia, as Czechia will just score overall more goals and they will draw against Mexico. Other than that, I think Mexico obviously have a good chance to go far into this World Cup with their home side, and South Korea are looking pretty good, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll only get the best out of South Africa. Where South Africa, I just think they aren't horrible, but for this group, every team is just gonna get the best out of them. So, yeah, unfortunately for South Africa, they will be eliminated, and we'll see if South Korea can make it. But it's looking difficult as they're on -3 goal differential with 3 points only.
Yeah, I really think other than that, I'm pretty happy with this prediction. So let's go to Group B. I personally don't think my predictions for Group B are different from many people. I think these are understandable. But before I show you, I'm going to show you the most highly anticipated match in my opinion, and that is Canada versus Bosnia. I do think Canada is better prepared for this World Cup than the last World Cup, but Bosnia, they aren't looking bad for this World Cup. They can make a nice run into this World Cup, and in their way, starting off with the defeat against Canada, where I do predict they will win 2-1 against Canada. Here, unfortunately for Qatar, again, another team that gets 0 points, and they will still be looking for their first ever World Cup win after 6 games, losing to Canada, Bosnia, and Switzerland. And I think Switzerland is going to dominate this group, and maybe the only hard challenge they will have is against Bosnia, where I predicted a 2-1 victory for Switzerland, but then the rest were like easy and then demolishing Qatar. While Canada could have an upset, I don't think so. I think Switzerland is a way powerful team. I think the most interesting part about this group that is most likely to happen is Canada fighting for that second spot to get automatic qualification. Them and Bosnia are going to be fighting, but I do think Bosnia will get second and Canada will get third and possibly go through with the third place spot. Look, Canada's chances aren't really horrible because they're at a -1 goal differential only with 3 points, so they have a good chance to go through.
And now Group C, a very interesting group here. Here I will be giving all the results right here, as you guys could see. But the main thing is, some people say Brazil is going to top the group, but I have a different opinion on this. And it's a pretty popular opinion, as I have seen a lot of people predict this as well. As well as AI even give Morocco sometimes a higher chance of getting top of the group. And here you could probably see the most talked about game, Brazil versus Morocco, which, as you could see, I will think Morocco will be victorious in a very tight 1-0 victory for Morocco. And overall, talking about these other teams, I just think Haiti's here just to have fun, just to go through this World Cup. The group is just horrendously difficult for them, and they will just have a blast being here and hoping to make it to the next World Cups upcoming as well. And then Scotland, I know a lot of their fans are going to want them to do good, and here their chances are slim in my opinion, but they will definitely try to get some points off of Haiti in a high-scoring affair. They will definitely try to score a lot of points against Haiti so they could have that chance to the third-place spot, because I think right now Morocco and Brazil have booked their spots, advancing without a problem in the top 2 spots. Other than that, I'm pretty sure the most interesting part will be first and second place, Morocco and Brazil. But yes, overall, I do think Morocco, Brazil, Scotland, Haiti will be the order. Next group, Group D, the United States in this group. Let's just start off by saying I think the most interesting game will be Turkey versus USA, where I do predict Turkey defeating the United States 2-1 in a close affair, but Turkey get the best out of the United States. Now, going to the standings, I say Turkey will ace this group, get 100% win rate,
while the United States will go in second, Paraguay third, and surprisingly, in my opinion, I think Australia will get fourth. First of all, Australia hasn't won a game since October when they defeated Canada. And then they've lost games to United States, Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. And I just don't know if they're going to have a good World Cup and be prepared for this World Cup. And as of recording, they still have one more game to play before the World Cup, and that's against Switzerland, which is going to be a very difficult game, and I just don't think Australia will get the victory. So I don't think they will carry on any goodness to this World Cup, and they will just have a disappointing World Cup. Going on to Paraguay, they are looking okay, but not the greatest, as I do think they will lose to Turkey in the United States, and then it's just going to be in between Australia and Paraguay to get that third spot. But definitely the most interesting part of this group is going to be seeing Turkey and the United States brawl that out in their game for the top of the group. Whoever tops this group or gets second really decides on how their knockout run in the World Cup will be. And then Turkey, again, their Euro 2024 run was phenomenal, just losing to Netherlands. But overall, I think Turkey is going to have a fantastic World Cup, coming back to the World Cup after 24 years when they got third place. I don't think they'll get third place, but they will have a good run, especially in these group stages. They will be very strong. And then Mauricio Pochettino's side, the United States, they have been very disappointing these past few months, but they did just get a nice 3-2 victory against Senegal and still have to play Germany. If they defeat Germany, they're looking to have a very nice World Cup run. Even though these struggles in the past, now they are started to slowly build up, and Christian Pulisic got a goal and an assist against Senegal, and I feel like Senegal is going to be one of the top teams in this World Cup, so that is very impressive to defeat African champion Senegal. And now for the next very interesting group of Group E, consisting of Germany, Ivory Coast, Ecuador, and Curacao. Curacao being new to this World Cup, this will be a very interesting World Cup, but I do think Curacao is just here for the vibes and overall just seeing how the World Cup experience is, so I don't expect anything from them. Now here, I think the rest of this group is absolutely interesting, as at first I would just say Germany and Ecuador fighting for that first spot is very interesting as well, but then I thought to myself, what about Ecuador versus Ivory Coast? How interesting would that be? That would be a very interesting game to fight for second place. Then I went even farther outside the box and just thought, what about all three countries combined? That is going to be a very interesting group overall. With seeing Curacao being a new country, Ivory Coast trying to get back to their form of the AFCON final, Ecuador being very defensive, and Germany trying to get their World Cup honor back after being grouped twice in a row. Especially these three countries, this will be a very interesting group for first, second, and third. This would be very entertaining if all these teams have an equal amount of points on match day 2. But here I do predict the only reason why Germany tops the group is because Ecuador just doesn't score enough goals. Going to the topic of where Ecuador, their defensive side is absolutely phenomenal. But then when it goes to attack, they struggle to score goals, or sometimes just are allergic to scoring goals. And then here, Ivory Coast, they're going to try to have a good World Cup, but just not get the best out of Ecuador and Germany. And because this group is just so interesting, I have 3 interesting games that should be talked about here. The first one definitely is Germany versus Ecuador, which I will think will end in a 1-1 draw. The next game is Ivory Coast versus Ecuador, and I do think Ecuador would learn how to score goals and keep their defenses up and win 2-1. Then, the final one, Germany versus Ivory Coast, would end in a 1-0 victory for Germany. Ivory Coast trying to keep it close, but just not good enough. But, good news for Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast are at 3 points and 1 goal differential, which is the highest we've seen. So, they are most likely going to make it to the round of 32. Next group, a very interesting one, Group F. Group F, Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, Tunisia. I did predict Poland to make this, and unfortunately it didn't happen, but Sweden did make it, and I do think Sweden will have a decent
World Cup here, third place, because Netherlands and Japan are much stronger than them. While here Tunisia can get points off of these teams, like I will do predict, Tunisia will get a point off of the Netherlands, surprisingly. That's going to be like my upset of this group. But other than that, I feel like a lot of people will say Netherlands or just overhype Sweden. I feel like Sweden's getting overhyped because they have just lost against Norway as well, 3-1 by a lot. And looking at their UEFA World Cup qualification, it looked bad. But Graham Potter has really saved this team. But right here, I just think Japan is finally going to make it past the round of 16. And Japan is just going to be fighting till the end in this group and top their group again, just like 2022, in a very difficult group. And the game to look forward to is definitely Japan versus Netherlands. And overall, looking at third place, Sweden has a decent chance to make it to the round of 32 with -1 goal differential, which will hurt them, but 3 points on the board, so we'll see at the end of this video. Just notice Tunisia always keeping it very close with their opponents, but just not enough to get any points off, except for one. And now the next group is Group G, which, in my opinion, for Belgium, it's going to be a walkthrough. And if they don't easily go through this group, there's a problem with Belgium. But in my opinion, the most interesting game will be the first game, Belgium versus Egypt, which I think will finish in a 2-1 victory. Although I see how Egypt versus Iran could be interesting, fighting for that second place spot, but I do think Egypt-Belgium will be more entertaining. Or I do think Belgium will win 2-1. Overall, I do think New Zealand aren't really ready for this World Cup and not going to get any points, while Iran will just get points from New Zealand. They will definitely try to put up a fight against the other top two countries. And then Egypt, they are one of the better teams in Africa, but not as good as they could be. And then Belgium, if they don't top the group, this will be a very disappointing thing to happen. And on to the next group of Group H, which is Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. Here I do think Spain will definitely top the group, but that is not the most interesting thing, Spain versus Uruguay. The most interesting part will be Uruguay versus Saudi Arabia. And I say that because Uruguay, they have been really disappointing in these past few years. I really think ever since the 2018 World Cup run, things have started going downhill, and then the last World Cup not even making it out of the group stage, and Ghana getting their revenge even though they lost. I think Uruguay and Saudi Arabia will be a very close game, but the thing is, they will be tied on points, but Uruguay will just go up because of goal differential. But Saudi Arabia aren't really that good right now as well. And if you look at that goal differential from Spain and Cape Verde, they are very different. And that is because I do think Spain will give absolute belt to Cape Verde, and Cape Verde will concede so many goals while Spain dominates this group. This would want to be the most dominated display out of any team because Spain has such an easy group. And for Spain against Cape Verde, it will be even worse than Spain versus Costa Rica in the last World Cup. It will be 8-0. For Spain, unfortunately, or for Cape Verde. On to the next group, which I think is the most interesting group, and I'm the most excited about this group. And that is Group I, with France, Senegal, Norway, and Iraq. Right now, all these teams are showing amazing display. In my opinion, every single game has a shout at being the most interesting game in this group. But just one game that sticks out to me is Senegal versus Norway. As I feel like Iraq, yes, they just tied Spain, but I feel like these friendlies don't really mean and show what these teams are going to display at the World Cup. For example, Senegal losing to the United States. I feel like Senegal, if that was a quarterfinal or round of 16 against the United States, Senegal would win. It's just very different. Therefore, I think Norway and Senegal is going to be the most interesting game, as this is going to be the fight for second place, and both teams, in my opinion, are very good, and I'm predicting both teams to go far. If you guys want to watch my next video coming out, it's going to be the knockout game in the next few days. But I just think Senegal and Norway is the most interesting game, and the score, as you guys could see, is 2-2 in a very tight altercation here, and I will definitely be wanting to watch this game. And another example is that France just lost to Ivory Coast not too long ago, and that just, for me, proves that the friendly games won't really give the same perspective as the World Cup. If that was a World Cup semifinal, somehow Ivory Coast and France meet, France would win. It's just completely different in my opinion. But therefore, this is my list, and I think this is a pretty good list. But if you guys want to watch the knockout group video, just wait till June 10th and it will be out, because the team's performances will definitely change from the group stages to the knockouts. For example, in this group, a lot of teams change. The final results are shown here, but now let's move on to the next group. And in this group, we have another heavy favorite to be victorious at this World Cup. And it is Argentina, Austria, Algeria, and Jordan in this group. And the game that sticks out to me the most and is kind of a surprise and upset is Argentina 1, Austria 1. And I have good reasoning behind this, and it is because Austria have proven to be a phenomenal team. Kind of in the Euros, they showed they topped the group in the group of death. Austria are heavy underdogs in this tournament, and I am very excited to see them play. And I just feel like here Jordan don't really have a chance at this World Cup, and as well as Algeria, yes, they have third, so they technically have a chance. And as it looks like, there's another -1 goal differential and 3 points, so Algeria does have a good chance to make it to the round of 32. Have to find out in the next video. But now on to another group, which has another World Cup favorite. And that group involves Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. And Portugal is the heavy favorite for the World Cup as well. Now before we go to the most interesting game, let's just go over the bottom two that I predicted, Uzbekistan and DR Congo. DR Congo haven't been in the World Cup in forever, while Uzbekistan has never been there. And I just don't feel like Uzbekistan will, again, make any points out of this, and they're just here for the vibe. While I feel like DR Congo have more to fight for, as they have been in the World Cup, just not in a very long time. And right here, their chances are kind of slim, as they are at a -3 goal differential with 3 points, due to just conceding goals, a lot from Portugal and some from Colombia, and only getting, in my prediction, a 1-0 victory over Uzbekistan. But now, the most important game, in my opinion, has got to be involving Portugal and Colombia, where Portugal will be victorious with a 2-1 scoreline, and that will definitely put them up on top of the group. And now for the final group of the World Cup, a very exciting group, England, Ghana, Croatia, and Panama. And right here, I do think England and Croatia will be fighting for those top 2 spots, while Ghana and Panama will be fighting for possible qualification to the round of 32 via 3rd place. And here, lads, I need to show you 2 games. One interesting game to look out for, and one massive upset here that will change the course of this group. Let's start off with the interesting game, where involves England and Croatia, where it will be 1-1 in the first game of the group. And this is a very not surprising one, as I don't think England are that good for this World Cup, and Croatia are just getting older, but still class. And for the upset, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana versus England. I say it ends in a 1-1 game. And in this scenario, before match day 3 starts, England are going to be in shambles. They're only at 2 points with 2 draws. They're going to need to have a good win against Panama, and it just makes this group way more interesting. And Ghana will definitely qualify with 4 points and a -1 goal differential. Any 3rd place team will make it. And guys, right here is my final World Cup bracket, but you guys aren't going to get it revealed to you today. This is just a group stage prediction video. My knockout video for the World Cup will be out on June 9th, so be sure to wait for that or already check it out. It has some interesting upsets, great underdog stories, and just absolute cinema. And if my predictions are true, this World Cup will be one of the greatest ones to remember. So be sure to check it out. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment
down your predictions.
And let me know where you guys think I went wrong here and what you would change in this prediction. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love making these prediction videos, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.